know him as the Divine Principle Lecturer. Divine Principle Lecturer, legendary lecturer. Let's give a hand to welcome up our lecturer, Dr. Andrew Compton.
Hello? It worked. Great. Hi, everyone. Happy Sunday. All right. So I haven't been here for a while. It's been quite a while since I gave a Sunday service presentation. I'm really happy to be here with you and with true parents and with our heavenly parent, right, in heaven. And Sunday's always special, chance to see each other, come together. And so I have some friends here from our neighborhood. They're probably curious about our song about Korea. So I wanted to mention that, Father and Mother Moon, they believe that the struggle and conflict in the world, to solve that struggle and conflict, you have to begin from one point. And from that point, it can grow and expand. Like a tree, it begins from a seed, right? So you need to begin with one, good, healthy family to make a healthy world. And they believe that our world, which as we all know is in great conflict right now, the horrible tragedy going on between Russia and Ukraine, in the Middle East, right? The terrible situation there taking place just the last week or two. So Father and Mother Moon, they really believe that the beginning point is to solve this issue in Korea. Do you know Korea is divided between North and South? So to solve this problem in Korea, that will create a pattern which will then be able to help the rest of the world, step by step, find a solution to these problems. Because they've been going on for thousands of years, right? I mean, a long time. So I think the solution is not what people think. If the solution is what, is obvious, we would have fixed this a long time ago. So the solution is kind of hidden. It's hard to understand how to solve these problems. And that's why I think we need special help from God. God can see a way. And that's why I believe God called Father and Mother Moon. And he's expecting them to bring about a solution for this division in Korea between North and South Korea. So recently, Mother Moon has been talking a lot about this, how we can bring about this unity between these two enemy nations, right? Two enemy nations. All right, but that's not my topic for today. My topic for today is how to become a valuable person. Who would like to become a valuable person? Anyone? Oh, a few people. Okay. Okay. So I hope I can offer something that would be helpful for you. Okay. Yeah, I think we all want to feel valuable. We all want to feel like we have value, that there's a reason for us to be alive, that somehow we're a benefit to this world. Right? And I suppose one of the main reasons we desire this is because ultimately we want to be happy. Right? Everyone in the world wants to be happy. And a part of being happy, or one thing that brings about happiness, is when you feel like you have value. Okay? Now, how do you feel valuable? Okay? And this is tricky, okay? Because the way the world tells you you are valuable and you can feel good about yourself is not actually a true way. Okay? It is like a lie. It's a lie that seems to be true, but actually it's not true. Okay? So in the world, if people recognize you, if they look to you and say, wow, you're successful, or wow, look at you, how beautiful you are, or how handsome, or, oh, look, this and that. When people admire you, they lift you up on a pedestal, we feel like, yes, I'm valuable, okay? I'm liked, people like me. Okay? That's our tendency, okay? But actually, this is not real, okay? It's not real. So Jesus said one time, he said, if you seek to gain your life, if you seek to gain all these things, you will actually lose them. But if you're willing to lose your life, give up your life, you're going to find everything, okay? So I'm going to give you a testimony. If you've been to one of my workshops, you've already heard this, so I apologize. Okay. But I had experience where our movement, we bought a house in California, Pasadena, called the Pasadena House. It's a beautiful house up on a hilltop, overlooks, looking out towards the ocean, and it's a beautiful house. Okay? And when we first purchased that, Father Moon said, we're going to have a leaders meeting in the Pasadena house, okay? So we all came to California for this meeting, those of us who were like state leaders or pastors and things. So I arrived there, and it turns out that with this property, along with it came a brand new dark green limousine. I mean, a really beautiful limousine, okay? And we didn't keep that very long. I think they sold it off or something, but it came with the property. So when I arrived at the airport in Los Angeles, this is back in the late 70s, okay? So at this time, the airport's not so organized. So everybody comes out onto the same sidewalk, and the taxis are coming there, and the person you pick up, and everyone is there, okay? Waiting for their ride. Everyone's looking for the ride. And there must have been like 300 people. I mean, it was like packed, the sidewalk, and everyone's looking to get their taxi, get their ride, right? And then this beautiful dark green limousine pulls up. And everybody goes, oh my gosh, who's being picked up by this car? And I was looking also, I was like, wow, look at that car. That's not a rental, I realized, you look at that license plate, you can tell it's not a rental. This is someone's, got the bucks, and someone famous. So I was thinking, we're in Hollywood, Hollywood is nearby. Maybe there's a movie star or something, So I'm thinking like this. And the car pulls up, and the window goes down. It's electric. At that time, electric windows were just, were created, So that was very cool. So buzz goes down. And driving the car is my friend David Endo. I'm like, what? And he says, hey, Andy, get in, Okay. So at that time, I'm around, 70. So I'm around 23, 24 years old, pretty young. And everyone around me, I mean, like a couple hundred people, they're thinking the same thing as me. Maybe it's a movie star or something. So everybody around me realized it's for me. I'm the guy, right? And wow, the feeling I had. It was like overwhelming feeling because everybody's attention was on me. And I'm a pretty modest, shy guy. Right, Lydia? I need confirmation. But I was so overwhelmed by this experience that I actually walked to the car like this. I couldn't help it. I was like, and I got in the front seat. I should have gotten the back seat, right? That would have been more. I got in the front seat, and I remember sitting down in that seat and closing the door, and this incredible feeling like, wow, that was like delicious. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but it was fantastic, okay? And then I realized that's what rich people feel like. Yeah, famous, rich movie stars, they get this attention, right? And it makes you feel like you are on top of the world. You are the most valuable thing there is. But the point is, did my value suddenly change because a car pulled up? Did I suddenly actually become a more valuable person? No, right? And that's when I realized, wow, this seems so real, it feels so good, but it's a lie. I'm still just Andy Compton, this guy who joined this new religious movement and is going to meet, well, someone special, of course. But my point is that the way we seek to find value in this world, it's not really true. That people look up to you, that people admire you. My father was a professor, okay, at an important or famous university. And every year we'd have a party at our home, and he'd invite all the other professors. And those professors who maybe had been nominated for a Nobel Prize or they had written some book that was really successful, right? They were like super special. People around them, gathering around them at the party and listening to them. But those new professors or others who did not accomplish that much, they're off by themselves in a corner somewhere, right? With their martini or whatever. So this is the point, that we think we have value when people acknowledge us, right? So that's why we work hard to be successful in our career and to look like we are great somehow, right? But this is not our true source of value. Okay, let's see, how does this work? Do I click? There we go. So, talking about value, if you study the divine principle, the teachings of our movement, this is page 166, okay? The divine principle book is not easy to read. It's rather intellectual, and doesn't flow really nicely, okay? But within it is contained a wonderful truth. And in Christology, it says, with respect to the purpose of creation, a fully mature person is perfect as God is perfect. This is what the divine principle teaches, that God made us to be as perfect as God is perfect. Now, for us, that may be hard to believe. But if God wanted to make someone who's perfect as he is perfect, do you think God could do it? Right? You wouldn't say to God, oh, I'm sorry, God, but you can't create someone to be as perfect as you, right? So divine principle says that God wanted to create us to be perfect as God is perfect. Having the same divine nature as God, he is infinitely precious. So divine principle teaches that, number one, the reason we have value if we are a mature person, means a true person, is because God made us to have value. God made us to have the same value as God, okay? Since God is an eternal being, a person created to become his incarnate object partner in perfection must have an eternal life. So we have this eternal value which comes from God. Okay, next. A fully mature person is unique in all the cosmos. This is really important. Every person that God created is unique. It means that your value cannot be compared to anything else in the cosmos, okay? There's only one of you. There will never be another one of you. So one of my most favorite quotes, I mentioned this a number of times, is when Father Moon said, you must have confidence that without you, God cannot be happy. Because there's a part of God that only you reflect. No other person can touch that part of God's heart. Only you can do that. Okay? So each person is unique. So our value is unique. You can't measure it. And finally, furthermore, since he is the Lord of the entire natural world, okay, God meant that man and woman should be lords of creation, which cannot realize its full value without him. He possesses the value of the cosmos. So these are the 3 points in the divine principle. A true person, we're not talking about sinful people. We're not talking about people in the fallen world today. We're talking about the original plan of God is that his sons and daughters would be as perfect as he is perfect, would be unique in their perfection, and would be more valuable and precious to God than the entire cosmos. Okay? All right. So this is what divine principle teaches about our value. Okay? So then, how do we really feel valuable? And I think the most important way to feel valuable is through our conscience. Okay? If you were to live in absolute obedience to the commands of your conscience, which is your teacher for eternity, you would be absolutely guaranteed to have eternal life. Our conscience is very important. Okay? True Father explains, God put a teacher inside of each of us that teaches us about our original value. Okay? And what does our conscience say to us? Okay? Our conscience says to us, at least this is what my conscience told me, okay? If you live a life without any meaning or purpose, you have lived a wasted life. It would have been better if you were never born. That's what our conscience says. If you live a life with no meaning, no purpose, when you come to the end of your life, you've done nothing of any meaning, of any purpose, then there's no point that you were born. Okay? Our conscience says to us, I want you to be a person who lives for something greater than yourself, who contributes something for the greater purpose, for the greater good. Okay? That's the voice of our conscience, and that's the voice of God. Okay, so then the question is, well, what greater purpose? What are we supposed to live for? Well, one greater purpose would be your family, right? The family is greater than me as an individual. It's my family, okay? And beyond my family, there might be my career, for example. You know, maybe I'm working to help keep the city clean, for example. Okay, that's a greater purpose. A greater purpose could be your community, the larger community in which you live. A greater purpose could be your nation, right? To love your nation and to help your nation become a better nation. Or a greater purpose might be to live for the sake of the world, right? The world is greater than me, right? The problem is our conscience gets tricked because we look at our families, we look at our city, we look at where we work, we look at our nation, we look at the world, and we say, it ain't good. Things aren't good. There's problems in my family. There's problems in my community. There's problems in my nation. There's corrupt politicians. There's problems at work. They don't treat me right. Okay? There's problems in the world. People are killing each other. It's crazy, right? So your conscience says to you, these greater purposes, they're not so important. They're not good. So just live for yourself, right? And get people just to like you and admire you, and then you'll be okay. So that's not good. That is evil, okay? So that's why the divine principle is important, because it is to educate our conscience. What does the divine principle say to our conscience? It says to us, yes, families are not so good. They have a lot of problems. Sometimes there's even divorce, or sometimes there's abuse. Sometimes there's lack of respect, for example. And yes, your community has a lot of problems. There's injustice in your nation. Yes, there are people in the world that are doing terrible things to each other. But even though the world may be that way, there is a greater purpose, which is God. God exists as the ultimate greater purpose. And the world is the way it is for a reason. Because when God created man and woman, from the beginning, we went the wrong way. That's the story of the Garden of Eden, right? Adam and Eve eating the fruit. So divine principle says, people went the wrong way. They went the way of sin and self-centeredness. And that's why we have families and communities and nations in a world which looks like it's no good. But God still exists, and God still loves this world. Despite its problems, despite all the chaos, God still loves this world and loves every single person in it, everyone. So then, we need to educate our conscience. Conscience, the greater purpose you want to live for is not your family or your nation or the world. You want to live for God, okay? You want to love God. And then God will help you love your family and live for the sake of a better family. And God will help you love your community and live for the sake of a better community. And God will help you love your nation and the world, right? So that's why it has to begin with finding God and His heart and His love. Then our conscience will realize, that's the greater purpose for which I need to live. So one time Reverend Moon defined what a saint is. He said a saint is someone who in their youth, they find some aspect of God's original ideal, right? And they commit themselves to that. And then they keep that commitment their entire life. They never let go of it, right? So many people, we're inspired in our youth when we're young, right? We get some divine inspiration. Oh yeah, I'm going to be a good person, or I'm going to help people, or I'm going to do something wonderful. But the tendency is we lose that as we grow and as we have bad experiences in life, right? So everyone said, the key is to hold on to that commitment and keep it through your whole life. Yeah. So I believe that's what our conscience is trying to say to us. To become a valuable person, live for a greater purpose. Okay? All right. So the last slide, this is Father and Mother Moon. So I am so deeply grateful to Father and Mother Moon. When they found me, or the people who were part of this movement met me, I was a pretty self-centered person. Extremely arrogant. I had become an atheist. I treated religious people pretty badly with arrogance, and it seemed like it was pretty easy to show that they were wrong. They were foolish people. They were weak people, whatever. I was a terrible person, okay? I was doing well at the university. I did well in lots of things in life. I did really well. But I was not a good person, okay? And through Father and Mother Moon, I studied divine principle, and my conscience was awakened. And I began to realize, yeah, there is a greater good purpose, that God does exist, that we can live for. We can live for the sake of something greater. All right, so before I conclude, I want to make one more important point. Sometimes people say, if you feel loved, then you can feel value. Yeah, that might be true as a kind of base, as a beginning point. But I don't believe that's enough. The fact that your mom loves you, the fact that your dad loves you, the fact that God loves you, I don't think that's enough for us to really, in our heart of hearts, our conscience, to be able to say to myself, I'm really a valuable, good person. Okay? What do we need more than being loved? Okay? We need to accomplish something. We need to become a victor. Yeah. Does that sound harsh? I hope not. Yeah. It's one thing to be loved, okay? My mom loves me. But what does the little kid want to do, He comes home with his, painting, doesn't look so good, but he got a blue ribbon on it, and he brings it home to his mom, right? Look, Mom, this is what I made. So he accomplishes, he makes something, and he makes an offering to his mom. And let's say his mom, receives it with a deep heart, even a tear comes down. Let's say it's Mother's Day, right? So at school, he made this for his mom for Mother's Day, and so he touched his mother's heart. So that, more importantly than being loved by his mother, is the offering he makes to his mother and she receives it. And that's what really gives you the sense of, wow, I'm a good person. I'm a valuable person. And I can really be happy with myself. Right? So I want to conclude by emphasizing this point. In our life, it's important that we win victories. It's important that we do something, that we offer something. I spent 1 week in Maryland with about 16 of our youth. They're in a program called Heavenly USA. Great kids. They're like finished high school, but not yet going to college, right? So they're spending a couple years, and they're trying to like offer something. So I went there to help teach them how to teach the divine principle, like lecture training. So it was really intensive. So they had the lecture all day long to each other, again and again and again and again, all day and another day like this. But at the end, we had a lecture contest, right? And at the end, I tell you, I was shedding tears. They were so good. Their hearts were so pure, and they taught so well, you know? I really felt like God was so happy with them that they had made this kind of an offering, right? They had made this effort, and they had accomplished something. And the spirit in that room, you know, when we all finished lecturing, they made their final offering of lecturing. It was such a wonderful spirit, like the kingdom of heaven on earth. Because not that they just felt loved, but that they had actually done something, they accomplished something, and they offered it, right? Like that. So I want to encourage you in the coming week to think about this point. Yeah. What can I offer? Yeah. When we make a good, sincere offering, that's when, you know, heaven or your conscience will then appreciate you and say, wow, you're good, you know, like that. And that's when we really, truly, together with God, can feel happy, really feel happy, right? In the Bible, right, there's the thief on the right of Jesus, right, when Jesus was crucified. Even just that small offering he made, but it impacted the world. He recognized Jesus for who he was, right? So finally, I want to mention that in making offering, it makes a difference who you offer it to. If we offer something to someone who is at the center of God's providence, right, it is more precious, right? Right? So in the time of Muhammad, right, Ahmed? If people living at that time, if they can help him some way directly, right, that would be pretty precious, right? Or people living at the time of Jesus, right? If they could help somehow at that time, directly help him and make a difference, that would be precious, right? Like one person from Cyrene, he helped carry the cross, right? When Jesus was being whipped and beaten, this one, young man came and he actually carried the cross for Jesus. So that person is remembered by human history, right? We remember this person. So that's why I want to say that any offering to love other people is a valuable offering. But if we can offer an offering that will help God's central providence, that will help Father and Mother Moon bring unity between North and South Korea, for example, if we can do something that will help in some way for that to happen, then that will be the greatest happiness, right? God will be the most happy, and we in turn will also be the most happy. So please think about how in the coming week we can make an offering. Yeah? That includes financial offering, right? So today, my wife and I, we prepared our offering, right? We want to give an offering to support our community here, right? This building is not for free. Okay, the electricity and everything costs money. So if we can help and make an offering, I think that's the way we'll create value in our life, and we'll be really happy. Okay, thank you. I will offer a short prayer. We'll conclude. Heavenly Parent, thank you so much that you exist, that God, you exist is so important because this is what gives hope for this world. This world seems like it's going into chaos. And even in this nation of America, the division, it seems really like a terrible situation. But beyond all of this, we have faith that you are working. We learn from the divine principle that behind the scenes of history, you are there, and you are trying to guide people in a heavenly direction. So, Heavenly Parent, please be with us this day. Guide each of our hearts. Help us to find the way that we can become people of value through your love, but also through making an offering that will contribute towards a better world. And most especially, we pray for Mother Moon and her incredible effort now to find a way to bring unity between North and South Korea and really create a nation which can provide a light of hope to the world, that all these conflicts and all the hatred in the world can be overcome. So thank you for everyone here this day. Please bless each of us in our lives. Thank you so much for this morning to be together. I'd like to report everything to you in the names of Andy and Lydia Compton of a Blessed Central Family, Jew.